Lightbody Academy and Rise of the Multidimensional Human. Welcome to today's Lunchtime Chats. For those of you who are new, my name is Christina and I'm the Acceleration Expert. And we are here to talk about topics and issues that are significant for us new paradigm visionaries, way showers, star seeds, healers, and beyond. So welcome to the chats. This is where I do, to the best of my ability anyway, I try to provide a liberated perspective on these topics and issues that have us, that challenge us on a daily basis. And how these topics and conversations are cultivated is two different avenues. One is the Facebook group that we have called Rise of the Multidimensional Human. And the secondary place that we cultivate these topics and issues is the Multidimensional Human Telegram group. So keep an eye out for us, or perhaps you want to shoot over there and join us and be a part of the conversations that get cultivated in these talks. I welcome you to check it out. If you do want to join the Facebook group, however, you must answer all three questions. If you don't, if it's too much of a hassle to answer all three questions, that's kind of an indication of the kind of presence you're going to bring to the group. Okay, so we want people who really want to be there, who really value that community and think it's worthwhile to maintain the integrity as a tribe of what that community is about. So that's how you get into that group, Rise of the Multidimensional Human. And there's shenanigans going on, censorship going on, and we're cultivating alternate means of social media, which is why the Telegram group has developed, is because there are people who post things maybe, or conversations that we have that are considered misinformation, or information that's not that's confusing for people or whatever. The community violates community standards, and because of that, a lot of the folks that wanted a voice and post things, they have an alternate group that they can do that. We have a sister group to the Rise of the Multidimensional Human group called Empowered Souls and Empowered Thinkers Alliance. That's on Facebook, and you can check that out. That's where some of the more controversial stuff gets posted. So welcome everybody. Say hi, let me know that you're there. So good to be here again with you all. Yes. Times are flying by quickly. Change is happening at lightning speed, is it not? There's been interesting things happening around the world. There's interesting things happening with just with the collective of humanity. And I want to talk about a lot of those things that are arising for us. Let me go ahead and get my questions. One of the things I wanted to talk about, that I personally wanted to bring forward in the conversations that we have today, is sympathetic resonance. I want to talk about the significance, the importance of sympathetic resonance, and how much it impacts our world and our behaviors and our quality of experience. So I want to dive into that. Hello, dear sister Carol. Welcome. Hello, Tony. Hello, Spirit Bound. Welcome. Awesome. The video is coming in good. Thank you for letting me know. So I'm without my headphones today. I had a little bit of a mishap, and my replacement headphones seem to be not working so well. So please let me know if the sound is off. I could try switching devices. All right. The other topics that are up for discussion today are, and this is from dear sister Rini, and I say Rini. It is Rini or Renee. Please let me know if I'm saying it wrong. From our Rise of Multidimensional Human group. She asks questions like, what are rainbow, crystal, and indigo beings? Great question. And then she also goes on to say, been hearing mentions of black hats and white hats in some media groups. Is that referencing light and dark forces? Yeah, so those of you who are QAnon followers and Wilcock followers, you know exactly what she's asking about. And then there's, what is the Bardos, real or imagined? That's an excellent question. And that's going to be a bit of a hair to split. So we'll see how I do on that one. And then the you know what? This is the C-19 that we're talking about. Do you know what that was created? Was it created? Wait a minute. I'm saying it completely wrong. I beg your pardon. It says the you know what? Was it created, or was it creating duality? Did it have a higher purpose? I'm going to put that in present tense. Does it have a higher purpose? And I'm quite, I really do want to talk about that, because there are people who are in great despair, You know, circumstances of life have brought on a whole nother dimension of pain and suffering and fear and stuff like this. So a lot of people are, you know, are at a loss of how to see this as a thing that can be turned around to their benefit. But really, if something is a gift or not a gift into your life completely depends on you. It depends on what you do with it. Okay, so and this is where the hijacking of our consciousness comes in play, because if we were in our natural state, as in our free flow state, as in we were born into this Garden of Eden, cultivated by the dreams of the mother, where she gives us everything that we need, and we're cherished and beautiful and brought forward into the world to explore our gifts and offer our gifts to the betterment of humanity. If we were all brought up in that vein, you know, anything that comes to us that is an aversion or a challenge is something that we meet with grace and with beauty and with imagination and creativity. Okay, but because of our programming and our conditioning and, you know, all the stuff that we're working through now, you know, we have to go through these fearmonger programs. We have to go through the ego driver programs that want to make things wrong, that want to, you know, keep us in a particular frame up where we're disempowered. So then we become a victim of our circumstances, or we become you know, disempowered in some sort of reel that we have going inside of ourselves. So this is, to me, this whole shenanigans, it's painful, it's bringing out suffering, it's revealing a lot of things to humanity that they need to wake up to. But I feel like humanity will prevail. I feel like our humanity will prevail, because we are getting painted in the corner, where the only devices we have left is our own ability to imagine something different, our own ability to commit to ourselves and bring our gifts to the world to create change. Okay, and a lot of times the pain of change has to be greater than the pain of changing itself, if you know what I mean. So this is what we're stepping out of. There's a lot of programming that humanity is waking up out of. So in that way, I feel like it's a great gift. Whether we revolutionize society within a few years or a few decades, that leaves a lot to the imagination. We don't know, but ultimately we are going there. We are headed in that direction. And that's because humanity, the true heart space within us all, have called that into our reality. And the dimensions that we talk about every Thursday, that I do the activation, and we go into these topics, this is serving towards that. This is serving towards us reclaiming our ability to being responsible for the reality we participate in, to be responsible for the reality that we are creating. Okay, so this is huge for all of us to step into this, and many people do it individually, but this is a time where we step into it collectively, and that is the gold right there. All right, I'm gonna check in. Hello, darling Sherry, glad you make it. Hey, Jackie. Hey, Renee. Hello, darlings. Hello, Nancy made it. Woohoo! And Sherry, good to see you, darling. All right, so Spirit Bound says, sympathetic resonance. Is this about feeling about feeling and identify with someone's energy, mental, emotional, question mark. Wow, I was gonna bring this up in the group later. Oh, okay, cool. All right, that's good to know. Hey, Polly, good to see you. Glad to have you here. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. So the sympathetic resonance I'm talking about, I'm taking it into more of a 7D perspective, as in looking at things as pure vibration. And we see the impact of the seventh dimensional reality in our reality, in that 3D what we call 3D reality all the time. That because it is through the seventh dimensional reality Uh-oh, did I blink out? All right, let me get back to that. It's because of the imbuement of 7D reality within our 3D reality that sympathetic resonance occurs, okay? That is an example of the seventh dimensional, the truth of that existence. So sympathetic resonance is when you have something vibrating at a particular frequency, and other things that are outside of that are of the same frequency start vibrating as well. So if I had a room full of string instruments and I was playing, let's say, an A minor, and I played that in a prolonged way, the other A minor, actually, I don't know if that's actually, I think the string is A minor. It's been a long time since I played fiddle. Anyway, I mean, I'm talking decades. The strings on all those other instruments will start to sympathetically vibrate with the note that I'm playing. Just one of the many, many examples. And I've talked about sand paintings and healing devices like voodoo dolls and other stuff like this. Sympathetic magic works with the exact same principle. So I'm excited to talk about all that. Let's just dive right in. I'm actually gonna draw the. Well, maybe not. All right, I'm gonna start with the outside and work our way in. All right, I might have to draw a few different models here. So let's start with the outside. There we go. Make sure it's on the screen. All right. So this is the galactic plane. All right, it's cut off a little bit. Let me do this. This is the galactic plane. This is the actual being, the actual consciousness that is the Milky Way galaxy. And in the old paradigm unfoldment, the idea is that there is a black hole in the center of this, in the center. Okay? In the center of this mind. As we wake up out of finite reality and into the infinite more and more and more, what we feel, what we sense in the center of our Milky Way actually begins to change. Some people sense into it and perceive a white hole. Other people may sense into it and feel a black hole. Others that, again, that have integrated other aspects of themselves beyond the typical human experience, let's say, just because we're limited to words here to try to put words into that. They may feel this as a central sun that is connected to all galaxies throughout the universe, throughout the multiverses. So why do some people find different things than others? And it's because of the consciousness that they're embodying. And I've said this before, and it's kind of hard to compute intellectually, but intuitively you'll get it, is that you could be standing right next to somebody who's actually operating in a completely different universe than you are. That actually happens, okay? And we need to appreciate that kind of difference when we're looking at how we're relating. And you guys have had this experience probably, like you're with somebody and they're talking, their lips are moving, it's making sound, they're speaking a language you understand, but for some reason you still can't hear them. You ever have that experience? Okay, that's because they're existing in a very foreign frequency than how you're existing, and that communication is not so easy, even though you're both making sounds that are on the auditory spectrum, and though you're both speaking the same language, as in, say, the language English, it's still very difficult to hear and comprehend what they're saying. Okay, so that's one thing about the Milky Way, the galactic mind. The other thing about the galactic mind is that this galaxy in its wholeness and in its duality exists within us. Sorry, I'm messing around with my markers here. The galaxy in its wholeness and its duality exists within us. Our conscious connection, however, has to do with what we're capable of perceiving. Okay, so this is spinning. This consciousness right here, this is a spiral galaxy that spins, 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 spins. And this is important because the spin is creating a frequency. And that frequency is, right? Because it's a frequency, that means there's sympathetic resonance at play. What is that? I have something on my finger. Okay, at play. Okay, so then we have our next layer in, which is the all that is. This is how we experience creator. This is how we experience prime creators, through the experience of consciousness, that there's just an isness. It's vast and infinite, and an isness is in that experience. There's no good, bad, right, or wrong. It simply is. Everything just is. And there's a deep peace with that frequency. The other aspect about this frequency is that there's a high level of, let's say, ethics. When someone is really integrated within their perceptions of the part of fabric of reality on this level, there's a deep sense of ethical behavior. And ethics is different than morality, okay? Morality changes with the culture and with the times. For example, it was moral at one time to beat your kids or your wife, right? It was moral at one time to have slaves. It was moral at one time to beat someone that was considered not, you know what I mean, that was less than. There was like this. It was totally okay to do that. But as culture changed, as consciousness changed, that kind of fell out, right? But ethics is not subject to our culture. It is not subject to the moralities that are dictated to us by religions or whatnot. Ethics is a level of behavior that stays the same generation after generation, and throughout, whatever culture you're in. There's a core ethic, okay? And one of the main core ethics with the isness is that we are all one. We are all part of the same creation. We are all in this together, okay? We are more the same than we are different. These are the undercurrents of that ethical system. So being in tune and integrated with this aspect of who you are isn't just I am God or I am, right? It's beyond the I, just that understanding. It actually translates into your daily behavior, how you engage your world. It translates into that. For example, when you are deeply integrated, when this is deeply integrated within your subconscious, within your body, you will put more effort into trying to understand another person versus having a value system that puts a lot of effort in arguing with that person. You see what I mean? So when you are really driven on a core level to want to understand this person that's very different from you, this attitude that's very different from you, that is being driven by this level of ethical knowing within us, okay? So by integrating with this aspect of who we are, it's really, really potent and very, very, well, especially nowadays, very important for us to incorporate that into our engagements. Because this is how we keep our humanity. This is how we keep our beauty, keep our ability to bring beauty into the world, is the foundation that this lens provides us. And this is the 8D lens, the all that is, I am presence lens. And there are many, many people who have integrated this level of being very deeply, yet can be considered, let's see if I can talk, yet consider themselves to be atheists, okay? You don't need to believe in God in order to have this level of your being integrated and actuated in your life. You don't. It's a fabric to who you are. Okay. All right. Okay. So let me. Oh, hold on a second. Let me pause for a second. Hello, dear sister Joanne. By the way, hi. Yeah. Spiritbound says ethics and morality are just words. I've heard them used interchangeably, and meaning completely different things. Language is great, but also a barrier sometimes. Yes. Yeah. Right. So, you know what? I would attribute that to people, like the difference between the truth, like someone speaking the authentic truth of what they mean versus lip service. You know, lip service is just saying words that have a meaning that you think the person wants to hear versus a true, authentic sharing. Okay. And when it's an authentic sharing of a truth that is alive within, and you're giving words to it and sharing it with another person, it's really powerful. It actually helps bring that other person, if they're not already in alignment with their authenticity, helps bring that person into their authenticity to hear and engage in the conversation. Versus when you're just getting lip service, it's like blah 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 blah. It's like it's really hard to even pay attention. I find it really hard to even just pay attention when they're talking, right? So there's a lot of dynamics going on in our communication, and of course language is our linear language is very, very limited because we're very we define, we're precise, and exacting, succinct. Like, I value succinct communication, but I also recognize how that doesn't always serve what is trying to be communicated. Oftentimes, the only way to really communicate what we are sensing, or something that's not really well formed, is to say things in more of like a poetry kind of way, where one phrase can have many different meanings. Just like a dream, it can have many, many meanings at one time. Many meanings at one time, and they all are true. They're all applicable. It's not just one or the other. It's yes and all of the above. All right, and then we have the next nesting doll in, which is another layer of separation, where we have an intent to separate out from the isness and define ourselves a bit more with some sort of intent, whatever that is. And that intent is the frequency of your soul, the soul song, the tone, the core tone. And this tone is the organizing force for your light body. So this tone is an organizing force that creates shape. Okay, so this tone just expands, 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 expands. And once it has a sympathetic resonance to some of the inner nesting dolls, then that's when that frequency starts to come into a container that it has more finality to it. When I say finality, I mean it's a plane. It's not a plane that endlessly goes on. It has edges. It has boundaries to it. Okay, so our tone, our soul song is here, and then our light body is here, and the shape is created by that frequency. It's via sympathetic resonance that it finds the next container and creates that shape. And that shape, which is your light body in this conversation, is the unfoldment of your consciousness. So all of the potentials of what timelines, what species, what places in the galaxy you're going to explore as an individuated being is within this light body. And this light body can be worked with by the human. Okay. All right, so then the next layer in is the next field of the soul's journey, the creation, whatever we create. Really, when you tap into it with your meditation, you'll notice that on a soul level, you're so full of joy and gratitude and love and excitement to explore these life streams, to explore these realities, to explore these incarnational experiences. It's out of pure joy on a most outer level that this is happening. It's not until you get into the inner aspects where entanglements start happening, and division and fractality starts happening, you start to come across different things that create separation, pain, trauma, soul level trauma, stuff like that. And then the next nesting doll in from there is that collective frequency, the field of thought and feeling. When I say thought, I mean just very superficial thought, ego driver thought, and then feelings, of course. And you have emotions versus feelings. Emotions is pent up energy in motion. So it's finally you're emoting energy that was held in. But then there's actual feelings, which is how something makes you feel, or how you feel when you're engaged with something. That's the better way to say it. How you feel when you're engaged with something, right? So when that kind of data set, the feeling that you have while you're engaged is a sense that you have that is interdimensional, because you can feel the shifts when you can, in your feeling sensing ability, you can feel shifts on these levels in the 3D interactions. Okay. But it does require clearing out stuck old energies. It requires clearing out energies that are stuck in you from past experiences, either in the current life stream or in the Akasha, or inherited by your ancestry, right? So once that pent up energy gets cleaned up, your feeling is much true to the present moment, to the present of what's in front of you. Okay. So clearing out the past is really, really essential for us to step into our power and our presence and our ability to seize the moment and create what we truly are here to create on a soul level. All right, then we have our 3D plane, which is the experience of space, separation. We know this, the three-dimensional experience. This is, what we see when we look out with our eyes, when we go for a walk in the woods, that kind of thing. And then we have the telluric realm. And then we have the core, the iron crystal core of the Pachamama. All right. So let me go back to spin. Now, if any of you guys are Dan Winter fans, I encourage you, if you haven't heard him speak, I encourage you to check him out. He's brilliant and he's super scientific and all this stuff. But if you can have patience with the kind of languaging he uses, sometimes intuitives, we don't necessarily, we get kind of get turned off with scientific talk, but if you can process, be with him and process as he talks, he's actually brilliant. Because one of the things that he has studied, he's a physicist that also studies Kundalini mechanics, okay, energetic mechanics, and he talks about spin, how what is the difference between thriving life versus dying life, and it's all about the spin. Okay, our energy field is really strong when we have a strong orbit within us. Okay, and that strong orbit for the human experience is our love, our heart space, our the field that's around us. Because when we're in love, we're so present, we're so powerful, we're so right, we're so like boom, we're here. And that creates a very strong spin within our field. Now, we are nesting dolls within nesting dolls within nesting dolls, right? So we, at our personal life force strength level, have a spin. And this spin is all about what we dream into being, how we engage the world and what we make of it, and so on and so forth. But then the other reality, some of the other things participating in our reality is the Pachamama and her spin. Now we can feel it when things happen with the spin of the earth. Okay. For example, we have been talking about acceleration for how many years? I mean, for me, it's been over a decade, talking about time acceleration and how everything's becoming faster. Time is stacked in such a way where we are healing faster. We're having our awakening faster. The techniques that we use to meditate, all this stuff is happening faster. And science, when you know it, has also discovered simultaneously that the Earth, her spin has sped up. It's a lot faster. It's to the point where our atomic clocks are no longer accurate because the spin of the Earth is no longer consistent the way that it was. It used to be exactly 24 hours in a day, but now the spin has quickened in such a way that it's actually almost a second less. You might think that that's a tiny change, but it's actually a huge change, because that means the Earth is spinning at an entirely different resonance that it was spinning before. You get me? Okay? And we're spinning differently. So it is the spin that holds our reality together. So we have our agreement. You know, when I talk about we have an agreement with the Pachamama to dream within her dream, okay? We, as soul beings, had a sympathetic resonance with the spin of the earth, with the dream of the mother. We said yes, she said yes, and therefore we started to explore what it is to manifest within her dream, within the resonance of that spin, okay? Just like the earth has an agreement to spin within the spin of the heliosphere, of our solar ring. And our solar ring has a sympathetic resonance with the spin of the galaxy. Okay, and these are all done via agreement. These are all done with agreement. It's a consensus reality. So that means the reality that we are walking through right now, the outer nesting doll of that, and there's more nesting dolls, of course, but this is something that is integral to the human experience, no matter where you are in your evolution, no matter, you know, like that. So this outer nesting doll, this being that we know as the Milky Way galaxy, is spinning and has a sympathetic resonance. It has a resonance, and everything that is inside has a sympathetic resonance for her spin. So if the galactic was to change its spin, that means all life within the galaxy would change its resonance. And wouldn't you know it, science also discovered that that is happening too. Now you might ask, what am I talking about? I'm talking about Andromeda. The galaxy Andromeda is actually in the process of colliding with the Milky Way. So that means the spin of the Milky Way is getting impacted by this incoming galaxy that has its own spin as well. You see what I mean? So sympathetic, so this is an outer nesting doll, and I'm touching on the outer nesting doll sympathetic resonance. That has an impact on consciousness in the here and now. So this explains some of the things, these challenges that we are facing in the old ways just won't work to solve those problems. And it's because we are in a place of sympathetic resonance. The only way, and I rarely say only because I feel, you know, I'm a believer that there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, right? But the only way to bring in the solutions that we need to bring in to move us, to keep us moving forward, is by our creativity, by our imagination, us imagining a new way of doing something, so it's in harmony, so it's in harmonic, sympathetic resonance in a harmonious way with these new spins. Okay. Yes, I know. Yeah, definitely look that up. Look that up, what I'm talking about with the atomic clock. There is a astronomy researcher, and I post his videos every so often. He pays attention to the CMEs and the different things that are happening on a astronomical level and its impact on Earth. And anyway, he goes much deeper into these in these very short, like 5 to 15-minute videos, and he's very in the moment with the data. So I encourage you to check him out. If I can remember the name of the channel on YouTube, I'll post it. I'll post it in the group, in both groups, Rise and in the Multidimensional Human Group on Telegram. All right, here we go. Let's get to, all right, so, whoops, here we are. So I've mingled with highly intellectual groups, and there's a lot of lip service without comprehension, understanding. Yeah, because, see, what we call intelligence is false. Because I don't know about you, but I know people with triple PhDs that, you know, can't figure out the bus system. You know what I mean? It's like they may be very book smart. They're very well programmed, but they have no common sense. Okay, so that's just, you know, or they have, their education is very limited in how it benefits them. They get very into status. I am an authority because of this right here, versus I am an authority because I am the authority. You know what I mean? Because I am who I am. That's a whole nother level. And that's something, and this is why, let me step back a little bit. This is why, if you guys, those of you who are entrepreneurs or coaches or trying to get into your own business, this is why your story of the true story of who you are and how you got to be there where you are is far more impactful and impressive than listing your credentials. Okay, when I see someone listing their credentials, but then nothing about their personal story, there's no connection there. It's like I feel like that person is trying to convince me that they know what they're talking about by falling back on their credentials, versus you telling me a story or them telling a story, some personal story of transformation. Then I'm going to totally believe that they know what they're talking about, because they just told a story where you can see that they lived it, they did it. Okay, so we're changing gears quickly with humanity, and it's not just this idea that's out there, that's this prophecy that we all have blind faith that's going to happen. No, we are actually seeing the reality of the shift in these sympathetic resonance the spin of the earth is a great example. We're actually seeing it. All right, there we go. All right, so then dear Joanne says, oops, where'd that go? Joanne, why we need to teach dialogue and discussion rather than argument and debate, looking for the win-win solutions. Yes. I know. So I just saw this very brave starshine post something in a spiritual group that I decided I like. I think it's called Soulology is the name of the group. It's in Facebook. Anyway, she posts, she's like, what if spirituality and all the practices are actually a program too, and a conditioning and programming as well, when really all we need to do is be our true authentic selves and offer our gift to the world to benefit humanity. And I'm just like, yes. But when the girl, I'm not going to say poor girl because she did it on purpose, but there's a lot of people that had a big reaction to that. What do you mean it's a program? What do you mean it's manipulation? Right? So you gotta love people like that, because they're asking questions that really challenge the way we think things are. Nothing is written in stone. This reality is so pliable, so malleable, right? We just need, it's a consensus reality. We just need to agree in a bigger collective level that it is that malleable. Right now, we're told that it's not malleable. You throw a stone and it falls. But actually, there's technologies that are ancient where we can throw a stone and it land in a vibratory field and it never touches the ground. It stays floating. I mean, that's a real thing. Okay. Dear Spirit Bound says, wow, on atomic clocks, the implications of this are amazing. The fabric of reality is so different than what people have been fed. Yep. Mm-hmm. Should I even be concerned with others or not? Okay, so that's a great question, and I'm going to say yes. Not in the sense of you need to do anything about them, but in the sense that you need to be willing to get to know them, to be authentically connected to them in a sense as a tribehood. So how we interact with our outside world teaches us a lot about ourselves, and it teaches us how to get past our own inhibitions, our own programming that keeps us held back, these interactions that we have with other people in the outer world. So new thought, this is when we're interacting with our outer world, with people in the outer world, this is where that co-creativity comes into play. And there's so much joy in co-creating. And of course, there's in this polarity, it's really strong polarity age right now, there's also a lot of effort and struggle with it too. But when we can find that common ground, when we can step past the programs of our differences, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Our bodies react. We become more peaceful, more calm, more all right with the world. And actually, I have to tell the story. I think I told it a few weeks ago when I was still at Hippocrates. There's a healing clinic in Florida, and there were a whole spectrum of people in different camps in relationship to the COVID shenanigans and the jibby jab, right? And some were extreme, and some were extreme, and yes, everybody should be vaccinated, and some were extreme as in absolutely nobody should be. And then there's this whole spectrum in between. Some people were like, it's all a shenanigans in the sense of it's all a lie, and other people were saying that what do you call them? Deniers. Some were deniers, some were hardliners, and everything in between. And you wonder how in the world can a group of people get along like that? But wouldn't you know it, we did. And the reason why is because each of us were faced with that need inside to connect with people. Our need to connect with others, that voice was far louder than this programming of the shenanigans. It was far louder. So that means we were willing to put things aside. We were willing to not have to be right. We were willing to allow people to have their thoughts and opinions without having to correct them or make them wrong. You know what I mean? Everybody became very quickly very accepting of where each person was. But that required courage, that required authenticity, you see what I mean? And compassion. I mean, it took us stepping into the deeper aspects of our humanity to allow us our harmony to be struck within our group. Okay, this is what I'm talking about right here. You don't have to have people believe you or be on the same page as you and for you to get along and have a benefit of relationship with them. Okay, it doesn't have to be that way. That's a program. That's a story we're being told, but it's actually not the truth. You know. And right now, those of us who are more expanded in our awareness, humanity needs us right now. Our ability to be more expanded in our understanding and in our thoughts and in our awareness, that is a gift, and humanity is hungry, hungry, hungry for that gift. Even if the ego driver of each person may not agree with that, the actual spirit within everybody, within people, are hungry for that. Okay, so we need to show up. We're quite literally robbing the mother of our ability, of our presence, when we refuse to show up in the world. That's my opinion, of course. So that's I'm sticking by that one. All right. I felt like ignorance of true reality will result in pain. I truly want to help and assist people out there, but I get the feeling I shouldn't mess with them at all. Yeah. So that's a very fine-tuned thing that you're talking about, right? There's times when it's not welcome. So this is where our intention to walk in harmony with the world, that energy of the intention is what we fall back on. So maybe you come across a situation where, okay, yeah, these people are definitely not into it. And you can put out a very gentle feeler about it. And if there's a response where there's more invitation, great. If there's a response like definitely not, like throwing, acid in with alkaline, then no, okay, there you go. Now you know that's not the place where you can connect with them. Maybe you decide that your resonance is too different and it's not, you don't have the resources within yourself to work at that kind of compatibility. That's really important for you to listen to, because the biggest thing that we're responsible for is listening to our inner voice. When we listen to our inner voice and take action upon that, our inner voice, that's our spirit, that's our our soul, and so on. So that inner voice, when we listen to it, there's a lot of fruitful things in the 3D come of that. So it's most important for us to listen to that inner voice. If our inner voice is taking us somewhere that we normally never go, we go with it, right? Because it's an inner, we're listening. We are taking responsibility and accountability for listening to ourselves like that. What happens is this is where those disempowerment programs come into play, where we have a story happening with the outer world and we're not able to take accountability. We're not able to take responsibility for our interactions in the sense of how things went down, right? You ever have a conversation and then afterwards you regret that you ever had that conversation, right? That's because there was something else driving you into that conversation very often. And maybe we were trying to be a savior. Like, oh, these people need to wake up. I need to wake them up. I need to let them know that they're buying into a lie, right? I think at this stage of the game, the ones that are still asleep are the ones that want to stay asleep. So maybe that's not such a wise thing for us to get involved with. Every moment is unique to itself. So I'm not laying any blanket examples here, but it's more about just listening to yourself. yourself, what is worth your time and energy? What do you have resources for? What don't you have resources for? We have our own biology to, let's say, to be accountable for. Our responsibility to cultivate a healthy, strong body is important, because without a healthy, strong body, we can't engage with this world. So if we don't have the resources to engage in that way, listen to your body, listen to that, say, okay, yeah, I just don't have the energy for that right now. But mental note, if I did, I think I would want to, to shed some light if it were welcome. Oh, I think I just lost my questions here. I did, darn it. Let me get back. Need to get back to those questions that were happening. All right. And it's not, see, a lot of times what I do is I copy and paste these questions into a note, so I could just click on the note, and then it's right there. And here, I didn't do that. I just had it on the live feed. There we go. Okay. Here it is. Okay, gotcha. Cool. Let me keep scrolling down here. I'm getting strong no responses from my immediate family. I'm afraid of it, but I also feel compelled to explore and find others who do resonate with what I resonate with. Yes. And then Joanne says, I might be too scary to wake up to a nightmare. I might be too scary to wake up to a nightmare. Yeah. Well, because many of us are frustrated. We're frustrated because we feel great injustice to humanity is happening, and people are manipulated into doing their part in that. See, there's a lot of factors involved, and remember, the beings at play, the powers that be, know us very, very well. They know exactly what buttons to push. They know our psychology. They know our tendencies. They actually have algorithms that can predict how we are going to respond to things. Yes, your data, your activity online, and all the other data about you that has been collected on a digital level has been fed into an algorithm where they can predict with great accuracy how you are going to react to a particular kind of stimuli. Yes, that is a real thing. That is the transhuman AI intrusion that so many people are up in arms about, right? This is the next step of truly what we're harmonizing here. So the C-19 is actually a precursor to what we need to bring for that next level, right? So it's a precursor. We're going to wake up to things. We're going to invent different ways of being. We're going to create different ways of relating. We're hopefully going to wake up into our sovereignty and take responsibility for what we create and what we participate in. And then that next layer, the technological layer, is the one that we're going to need to deal with. A lot of us are dealing with it already via, EMF, magnetic interferences, and the whole nanite thing, right? A lot of us are already dealing with that and working through it and figuring out how to clean that kind of influence up out of our bodies and out of the collective fields and stuff like this. But there's more and more layers to that. So sympathetic resonance, going back to that spin, sympathetic resonance has to do with when things are alike, and when things are alike, there's a resonance that's harmonic. Energy medicine works a lot like this, in that the sand paintings that I talk about, those you can create a sand painting with the sympathetic resonance of a particular situation and focus life force energy, Pachamama energy, other kinds of consciousness into that frame to start harmonizing that. And because the accuracy of the sand painting is so right on to the resonance, that as that energy interacts with the sand painting, it interacts with all the people in those relationships that you put into that painting, right? So we can be influenced like that, and we are influenced like that. And shamanic practitioners have been doing this for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. This is an ancient technology. So when you have holographic overlays, which is what a lot of these things, these technologies are doing, it's the same kind of thing. They have they have an overlay that is so precise upon how you resonate, and they manipulate the overlay, and that starts creating a momentum to manipulate you. It could be dream time, which is a lot of people have reported intrusion in their dream time lately. Okay, it could be dream time, it could be your imagination, it could just be subconscious programs and stuff like this. It can impact you on many different interdimensional planes. So what makes one person susceptible and another person not? It's your sovereignty. It is you thinking for yourself, you committing to your own inner voice, you sympathetically resonating with the truth of your heart space. Our hearts are electromagnetic. The stronger they are, the more energetic hygiene you practice, good energetic hygiene you practice, the less susceptible you are to those sorts of influences. Okay. Now this is different. Even those who really buy into the shielding idea, you can see with this particular example that I'm sharing with you how shielding may not work. Most of the time, it doesn't in those kinds of situations. Okay, so the idea is to live in your truth and your strength and in your humanity, right? With all these layers of your being integrated and expressed without hindrances. You're very profound and powerful being at that point. You are creating purposefully your reality, what's unfolding in your reality. At that point, you're no longer influenced by those sorts of things. But how many people do that? More and more every day, thank God. Thank goodness, right? All right. Hello, dear sister Ella. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, okay. So she says, I've been meditating lately and been about, wait a minute. I've meditating lately has been about fear programming and pros and cons of today's global situation, is solidifying that the decision is not that the decision is not essential layer, but intention and reasoning behind it. Okay, I'm feeling into what you mean by this. Okay. Yeah, but how are people? Okay. So check this out. Our control systems on this planet are pyramids, are hierarchical pyramids. Do we all agree? Right? Do we all agree that the control systems on our planet right now, that's religious hierarchies, corporate hierarchies, military hierarchies, government hierarchies, right? They're all pyramids. And what happens is that within the structure of that pyramid, you have the higher ups to tell all the underlings, that order all the underlings what to do and what's going to happen. Okay? When you're in a structure like that, you actually are very limited to what you could do. You cannot go against what the orders are, but even though you have all sorts of thoughts and feelings and stuff like this. So that control system has worked for a long, long time. It has worked for a very long time. Now, what's happening here is humanity is waking up to aspects of themselves that do not exist within that pyramid and can actually completely dissolve the energetic influence and structures of that pyramid. How do you do that, you might ask, right? I'm going to talk about that. So how do you do that? How you do that is that you use your ability to tap into these lenses out here, the Milky Way galaxy mind, the all that is mind. You use that, and that is the part, that is the level of your dreaming the world into being that actually has the ability to completely obliterate. Did I say that right? The pyramid structure. So how do you do this? You know, this is something that was taught to me so long ago, years and years and years ago. I think 20 years ago, you could say, and it does work. It just takes time, patience, and the willingness to focus. And what you do is that when you go into a deep focus state, contemplating the situation that you're in, feeling where you are in that pyramid of control, right? You feel where you are in that, and then you start going into all the different possibilities, all the different angles of that situation. I like to use sand paintings for this just because it helps me stay focused, because our own resistance to taking our power will start to fire up sometimes when we're doing this, because we're daring to step out of the rules, right? So, and you just start seeing it from all angles, angle after angle after angle, whatever that situation may be. And then you start inviting the voice, your inner voice, your all that is voice, even the voice of your essence, if you can get that deep, and you start feeling into what is it that you truly want. How can what is a version of the situation where it's a win-win for everybody? What's a version of this situation where you end up where you actually want to be? You are actually in the place of receiving what it is you need to receive, whether it be support, whether it be this or that, whatever. Maybe it's you being empowered is what you envision, whatever. And you just sit in that meditative focus and you bring idea after idea forward until eventually you end up painting a picture of possibilities. Okay? Now this picture of possibilities you've painted within your mind, that's a hologram now. That's a holographic reality that you just created. And now we know how holographic realities have potency, right? So now you have this momentum of your 9D field too, of the galactic mind too. So you can use the harmonics of that to influence and bring new thought idea into the image that you're painting in your mind. And then you decide which part of that do you truly want? And it's really not like a decision like, oh, I want that. What happens is that you'll all of a sudden, you'll have an idea, you'll have maybe an image with that idea, and you'll just all of a sudden have this feeling like, oh, wow, I really want that, right? Other things that might happen is that you might have an image or an idea that comes up that was close to what you thought you wanted, but then you'll realize, oh yeah, I don't think I really want that. Okay, so it's a discovery process as well. Once you get to the image or the idea that you actually want, you start calling it forward, like with your intent. Yes, this is what I want. This right here. This is what I want. And if you're doing a sand painting, you actually, create a metaphor thing of what that is that you want, that really that will benefit you, that your spirit is saying yes to so deeply, and you settle on this. You decide, yes, that is what I want. And when you do that, and you can't focus on any one person, because your mind's going to say, well, I can't have that because of that person. I can't have that because of that rule. I can't have that because of this law. I can't have that because, right? None of that could be there. It just has to be an image, an idea that feels pretty complete. This is what I want. That state of being is all you need. And when you create from that level, these levels of yourself, you have transcended and completely dissolved the control system of the pyramid, because you are thinking and feeling outside of that structure. You are with the existence of you that is outside of that structure, that is beyond that structure, that is beyond the control that structure is exacting. Okay? So imagine if all our nurses did something like that, or our teachers, or our firemen, the ones who are really bucking against the system right now. We can do that. We can do that. And this is what it is. This is us bringing the gift of who we are into the dream of the mother. We are dreaming this world into being with the Pachamama's dream, okay? Her dream has set the stage. Her dream has given us this nature. Her dream has given us these bodies and the perceptions these bodies allow. Okay. And now, us as sovereign, multidimensional beings, we dream with these aspects of us, and we bring it into the here and now. We do that with our capacities of imagination, our capacities of creating art, our capacity to bring beauty, our capacity to love into the darkness. This is why the Pachamama has us here. Or I can speak for me. This is why it has me here. And this is why we have all these rainbow children, these crystal children, the indigos, all these spectrums of consciousness that we're putting labels to. These children are different than the previous generations. Those of you who are indigos, you totally get that. You know with every fiber of your being that you're different than everybody else. You just don't see things the same way. You don't see things as limitations as these people over here, you know? It's like it boggles our minds. We think, I mean, I was 5 years old sitting in a church pew, and I had this total epiphany. I realized none of these people know anything about Creator. You know what I mean? I was just like, I knew that this world was so backwards at 5 years old. Now, most of you guys who might identify with these labels probably had an experience like that. You just see things differently, and because of that, you don't have the same limitations. So with this question, what are the rainbow, the crystal, the indigos? These are the beings with a different soul agenda coming to this planet. We are choosing to experience things differently than the souls that have been incarnating in the past. So for example, indigos, we've come in waves, right? We've come in waves, and there were early wavers, and then more and more and more with every generation were coming to this planet. We wanted to have the experience of ushering in change. So we're here to break the systems for a lot of them. Why do they call them indigo? That's just because the overall spectrum of consciousness sympathetically resonates with the indigo frequency. Same thing with crystal children and rainbow children and diamond children. Their frequency of their overall energy is in sympathetic resonance with that of diamond rays or of crystal rays, rainbow rays, stuff like this. It's a kind of consciousness. It's a frequency of consciousness that particular soul is embodying within their physical form, within their biosuit. All right, let's get to dark hats, black hats. This is a narrative that's very specific. I think the first time I heard about black hats, white hats was David Wilcock, many years ago, actually. And I have to preface this whole thing is I'm not a QAnon follower. I have friends who follow, and they sometimes forward me things, but I don't really resonate with the Q thing. I don't resonate with the Trumper thing. I mean, there's a lot of things that overlap, of course, but you know, I don't actually like fully immerse myself into those narratives because a lot of it doesn't resonate for me, right? But what I do know about the black hats versus the white hats is that the white hats are the infiltrators of the control systems of these pyramids. They're infiltrators of these pyramid control systems of light beings. These are light beings in a body that are infiltrating these pyramid systems with the intent to do what they need to do to topple them over, to end their control and help facilitate humanity into the next stage of their liberation process, whatever that may be. That's my understanding. If there's another understanding out there, I welcome you guys to definitely chime in. And I love this question about what is the Bardos, real or imagined, right? So now I just talked about him at the power of imagination. This is your imagination. Via your imagination, right? You can actually pull realities into this reality. You can actually pull things and manifest them in 3D form. So when you say real, is it real or imagined? I have to say, what's the difference? What is the difference? When you die and you leave your body and you experience the Bardos, is it real or imagined? Okay? It's not physical. You're the only one there having the experience. Is it real or imagined? Now, what I can say is that when we leave our bodies, we're in a completely different kind of reality when we are no longer experiencing our consciousness through the lenses of this biosuit. So a single thought has a profound impact on that kind of reality. A feeling has a profound impact on that kind of reality. So, so the construct of the Bardos is a thing that actually is something that actually influences your consciousness, whether it's a construct that was created or if it's just how nature is when we leave our system. You know, that's the question I think that maybe you're really trying to ask. And my sense is that it's a constructed reality that is necessary to have to navigate in order to make your way back beyond the reincarnational cycles of this planet. That's how I feel. In my near-death experience, it was very easy to navigate the Bardos. It was more because I had guides. I had my star family with me, and they just kind of, pretty much what happened was that they put me in a ship that was like, had a shape. It had a geometric shape to it. And ship is the only vessel, maybe is another word I can use. I stepped into this vessel, and this vessel just transported me time, space, dimension. And when I came out of the vessel, I was surrounded by my star family. I was surrounded by, I can cry when I say that, it was the cosmos, right? And there was a very specific purpose on why I was brought there. So I didn't have to navigate the Bardos. But then again, that was not actually my time to leave this planet. That was my time to leave my body and to have the death experience. But it was a teaching. It was something that was part of the bigger plan. So when I come back into my body, I had a different kind of consciousness, a different level of awareness, like that kind of thing. So take that for what it's worth. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. Here we go. I think that's it for those questions. And I totally went over. Wow, I'm so easy to. All right, let me just go through here and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. All right, yes, the children know they need to be seen and heard. Yep, some of my family is way into QAnon, but it doesn't resonate with me either. I'll just leave it all. I'll just leave it at that for now. Yeah. And but remember, people are hungry for the truth. They are hungry because they can tell on some level that they are living a lie. They are being lied to. It's like a deep knowing, and anything that comes close to satiating that knowing, they're going to gobble up. They're going to gobble up. So the intention behind exploring that kind of thing, I think it's a great intention. It's just the problem is that there's a lot of emotional trigger, there's a lot of responses and programming to work through, and it's very difficult to navigate those waters because there's, like everything else, there's lots of lies woven in with the truth. There's a lot of truth being spoken, and that truth has piggybacking upon it are distortions and lies. So that's why it's really kind of toxic in some ways. Other people love it and they get a lot of liberation out of it. They enjoy exploring, they enjoy researching, and in that way I think it's served humanity in a great way, because now people are wanting to take charge and not just buy the story for the surface. They actually dive deep and want to know more, take it upon themselves to educate and to find out more. So in that way it's really, really great. But anyway, so here's what I want to leave you guys with. Like I said, humanity is hungry. We know on a deep, deep, deep level, maybe consciously we don't know, but most of humanity knows on a deep level they're being lied to, and that potentially they are living a lie, right? And they are so hungry to open up to who they are as multidimensional beings. They may not understand it as that, but the actual truth of who they are on a multidimensional level is really what they're hungry for. My generation is a great example. It's like it's with my generation that that yoga exploded, that healthy eating, holistic habits became much more mainstream. Meditation, alternate education, all these things came in much bigger force with my generation. We are starving to rediscover who we are, and we all have our parts to play. This particular model here is great because it's a very safe way to step into your multidimensionality. It's a very clear breakdown of who we are as multidimensional spiritual beings, okay? And I'm saying this because I want to encourage you guys to entertain the thought of start to facilitate activations for your own crew, for your own people. I mean, some of you have spiritual circles that you gather all the time. Some of you have internet circles. I want you guys to entertain the thought of potentially you introducing this work to your people, because we're all hungry for it. It expands our awarenesses. It actually liberates us from things that we felt that trapped us, especially when we start getting to the 4D field. And this has been done over and over and over again for decades by many, 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 many people, which means the sympathetic resonance is there and it's strong. So every single time you're doing an activation, even during these that I'm doing here, they are resonating with all the other people, all the other activations that have ever been facilitated throughout time and space, okay? And particularly, it's important that it's happening on this planet. So every time I do this activation, every week, it's sympathetically resonating with all activations that's ever been done over the past 20 years, okay? So you have that kind of support when you're doing the facilitation of this sort of thing. So I want to invite you into that. And also I want to let you guys know that there is a free 4-week training that's happening through the Pyramid Spiritual Society movement. It's on YouTube. I'll post the link after this chat so you guys can check it out. It's totally for free, where I'm diving deep into these dimensions, and I'm talking about the keepers, I'm talking about the lenses, the encodements. It's like I'm just going deep into it, so you guys are equipped and even submerged in these teachings, so you can decide if it's something that you truly do want to teach, or that you truly do want to bring into other people, or not even teach, maybe just facilitate an activation, it would look kind of like a ceremony, like that. So I encourage you guys to check that out. I'm going to post the link in the Rise group and the multidimensional group on Telegram, and yeah, you know what? I'll do it in the comments on YouTube as well, so you guys can check that out. We've already done the first session, which was Friday of last week. The second session starts tomorrow morning Eastern time, 11 o'clock Eastern time, 9 a.m. Mountain time. And it's okay if you dive in on the second, because it's similarly to these kinds of chats where you can just dive in at any place, and it's okay. You can go back and listen to what we already talked about, which is helpful, and there's handouts that are included in all this. So do know that there's material stuff for you to hold, and I like to print things out and write on them. That's how I am. So that's why I have these handouts, so you can print it out and you can make your notes on it and do whatever you want with it. And it just really helps me to have something that I can hold that's not just on electronics. So that's part of that process too. You guys are welcome to join us. All right. And thank you. Okay, so Spiritbound says, is it all constructed reality, or is it how nature really is? I love that question. Doesn't matter the format, simulation, true reality, etc. What is real? What is true? Thank you. Awesome, darling. Hey, Georgette, good to see you, sweetie. Hello. Okay, so dear Polly says, I am so happy between the hours of 2 and 3 Eastern Standard Time every Thursday. Thank you for that, darling. Thank you. I'll do what I can to check Facebook and Telegram, but I'll do everything I can to participate in that too. Thank you. Awesome, guys. Yes, and thank you everybody for being here and being supportive of these chats and sharing them. And if you want to, help, wonder how you can help support us, like, subscribe, share, invite friends into this. It'll be all very helpful to get the word out. I don't intend on ending these talks anytime soon. I feel like all of us get a lot out of it, and I'm happy to show up like this for everybody. Let's see. I guess that's it. Thank you, darlings. We'll see you next time. Mwah, mwah. Take care.